Honest confession, I actually love both dogs and cats. So before this cattery, SirNicolay cattery, I grew up actually with dogs for a much longer time than with cats. And it's only just around 8 years ago that I started taking care of cats. And so this is why, with my years of experience, I can actually answer usually a lot of questions between, questions about what's the difference between taking care of a dog and taking care of a cat as a pet. And so for today, we're going to answer just that. So stay with me. This is Sir Nicolay, and this is Cats versus Dogs. Which pet should you get? 10 major differences so you can decide whether you're going to get a dog or a cat as a pet. Personality. So of course, dogs are more hyper, more active. A lot of people would call them extroverts, while cats, they say, are more introverts. So there's some truth in that because when you take care of dogs, it's like having a baby for a very long time because dogs are very much dependent on you. And so therefore, when you take care of a dog, it's like having to take care of babies for a long time. But obviously, it's different, with different types of dogs. So if you're looking at a toy dog or small dog, so those are the babies for life, definitely. And then of course, you have dogs who are guard dogs or like, the bigger dogs, hunt dogs. So obviously that will be very different also, different experience also. Now for cats in general, cats are more, more predictable in my opinion when it comes to how they will be as kittens and adults. Okay, so personality-wise, kittens are actually so much fun. In my opinion, kittens, especially when they're very young, like from 7 weeks old maybe to around 8 months, kittens are so much fun because they are so silly. They just run around the house and then can play with them. They do all of these weird stuff, cute stuff. That's why they're the face of memes. And then when they become adults, you will notice that there's a change. And the change could be, very striking because you will notice that your cats, as adults, are more gentle. They're actually more reserved. If you have your cat spayed, one thing that you'll notice that they'll actually sleep much more often. They'll go fat, and then they'll just basically be, like adults. And it's very strange to be calling them that. But unlike dogs, some dogs can be babies for life. I think all cats, when they become adults, they really just, become very mature. And some people like that. Some people like having cats, having a household pet that is actually not as energetic and much more subdued, and that is actually the personality of the cat. Daily activities and energy level is where you will see a big difference, I think, when it comes to dogs and cats. Because when you look at people taking care of dogs, definitely you'll see that people have to walk dogs. And it's not just because you would walk them so that they could poop or pee elsewhere, out of your house, but it's really that they need to exercise so much more than the cats. And so therefore, when you're a dog owner, it's good. It's actually, you will be much more active because you will need to really just be there for them, to exercise them, and you can make them exercise with you, and you have to walk with them, and so that's actually pretty good. That's why you can get a leash for a dog, and then you can just go explore your neighborhood with them. But with cats, you will notice that you will rarely see cats, being leashed or being tied and being walked in the neighborhood, because cats don't really need to. Cats don't really need to walk, to pee or to poop, because cats, after all, they have their litter boxes. And the other thing is that cats by themselves, unlike dogs were trained, in evolution to actually hunt with men. But cats are not like that. Cats hunt on their own. And so therefore, there's less need for cats actually to walk with you or to exercise with you. And so what you might notice is that cats generally would have energy level that's so high when they're young, but when they're older, they would tend to really just become a lot lazier. So like Garfield. And you will see that cats will just sit and not really do anything, stare at you, or like watch outside the window and then watch the birds, but not really do anything, because cats are just like that. They're not very energetic, and for the daily activity, the only thing that you really need to do with them sometimes is really just to keep them stimulated. You can play very simple games with them, but not like dogs, who are definitely much more hyper. So let's look at the practical side. How much are you going to spend on a dog, and how much are you going to spend on a cat if you decide on getting one of those or both? Okay. Now, when it comes to food, to be honest, they're mostly similar. So for dogs, they actually would need some dry food. Sometimes they would need wet food and then treats. Same is true actually for cats, but the basic difference, I think, is that for cats, they definitely need to have more wet food sometimes, more than the dogs. Because when it comes to cats, they need to be hydrated more. Especially because when you look at the dry food components of cat food, it's actually much drier than dog food. And at the same time, when it comes to dogs, in my personal experience, they can actually live on a lot of dry food, and it's just fine. And then you can feed them meat, and it's actually pretty a lot easier than feeding cats. And so therefore, when it comes to expenses, you have to consider that cats will probably have another set of expenses that you will have to anticipate, and that is you're going to have to buy cat litter also. And when it comes to cat litter, that for cats, when they poop or pee, they do it on a litter box. And that's something that dogs don't really do. And so that's an extra expense, I think, for cats. But when it comes to dogs, maybe the extra expense for you will be the grooming of the dogs. So I feel that dogs are groomed more than cats. And so therefore, you probably will have to buy better grooming equipment, or like more shampoo, and also different kind of equipment, just to make sure that they look good. When it comes to cats, since cats groom themselves better than dogs, this is why you will find yourself not buying a lot of expenses on cats when it comes to grooming. So which pet is noisier, dogs or cats? Definitely dogs. So I'm going to have to just be honest here. Dogs bark, right? So, and when dogs bark, it's usually louder, definitely much louder. And then at the same time, dogs bark more often, mostly because when it comes to dogs, they bark when obviously they're strangers, or when they feel threatened, or when they're happy. It's like barking is their language sometimes, right? And when it comes to cats, very strange phenomenon. Cats actually meow only to humans. You will not see cats actually meowing directly to other animals, but majority of the time cats really meow for us. And so therefore, you'll find that it's very rare that they do it also. I'm going to discuss it later, but cats communicate in a very different way. And so this is why they're less vocal or noisy as compared to dogs. But I do have to warn you about cats, particularly when cats go in heat. So during the estrus season is the mating season, especially for cats. When they go in heat, female cats will become very vocal during that season. So they're going to call for their mates. And then when the male cats actually hear this or smell, that the female cat is in heat, sometimes the males can also be a bit noisy because of that. And so therefore, when it comes to noise level, I would say that dogs are generally much noisier and cats are quieter. But when it comes to mating season, I will probably say that cats can get annoying also. So speaking of mating season, this is also a big difference between dogs and cats that I noticed. Female dogs, they bleed. They actually have menstruation. And unlike humans, when humans have menstruation, as we all know, humans can't get pregnant when they're menstruating. It's actually weird for dogs, it's the opposite. When dogs are menstruating, female dogs are menstruating, they can get pregnant during that time. And so that's one big difference between cats and dogs. Female dogs menstruate, so there's blood. Okay, but like what I mentioned earlier, female cats also go in heat season or estrus season. And when they do that, they call, for their mates. And so that's a bit of a difference. For dogs, I don't really recall dogs, calling out loud for mates. But I think what annoys dog owners, female dog owners, that when their dogs go in heat, they bleed. And so therefore, it could get a bit messy because of that. So generally speaking, those are the basic differences. For male cats and dogs, however, and this is something that I can definitely certify, because I wanted originally to become a dog breeder. In fact, before getting cats, I actually had 3 toy poodles. And one big lesson that I learned from taking care of toy poodles is that small dogs don't know how to do it. So that means when they go in mating season, and dogs, small dogs, male dogs would try to have sex with female dogs, they need a shooter, which means you have to hire someone to actually assist in the mating process. I found that extremely weird at first, because I did not know that dogs did not need help. Because growing up, when I was seeing a lot of street dogs do it, it just seemed so effortless and seemed normal. But small dogs, they actually need help in being able to to have sex with female small dogs also. Okay, but for cats, it's a different story. Cats don't need any help. So cats are really just very natural in doing it. In fact, you can just let them do their thing and it will happen. But of course, if you spay your cats, it will be a lot safer. Probably one of the biggest differences also is how dogs and cats show their affection to you, their owner. For dogs, they're much more visible when it comes to showing affection. So you are familiar with puppy eyes, so they actually give you with this googly puppy eyes, and they manipulate you with those really cute eyes. And they lick you also, and dogs will somehow bark to show that they're happy. They'll wag their tails to show that they're happy. And so personality-wise, it's really just full of love for the dogs, and it's very unconditional. Dogs will love you. Even actually, I'm so sad about this, but some pet owners who are irresponsible, when even if they hurt their dogs, I find it strange that actually dogs will still find find ways to actually still love their owners. And that's why people have been comparing dogs to the most loyal beings on earth, probably, because it's true. Dogs will love you no matter what. So they're very much the embodiment of unconditional love. How about cats? Cats are very different when it comes to showing affection. So, one way that cats actually show that they love you is by doing weird things that at first is not very easy to understand. That's why cats actually have their own language. But one way that cats would show that they love you is the moment that when cats are actually staring at you directly, and then they slowly close their eyes. So if you will notice your cat is doing that, staring at you and slowly closing their eyes, that means that the cat actually trusts you and loves you. Because a cat, when a cat closes their eyes, what happens that they're becoming very vulnerable, and so therefore they actually trust you in that sense that they're willing to be vulnerable around you. Okay, and then second sign that usually shows cats' affections, that they would actually lie on their backs and show you their belly. When that happens, that's also a weird way of cat telling you that that cat loves you. Okay, because they're again being very vulnerable, showing their belly. Okay, now to be honest, cats can also be a bit like dogs in that cats can actually come close to you and then go to you. I have one cat, Fen, who, strange enough, Fen licks me, and my other cats don't. So that's very strange, but Fen does that to me. So she's like a dog in that sense. And then the other thing about cats is when they really love you, I think this is more general now, they would rub their cheeks on you. So like, they would rub their cheeks on your legs or on parts of your body or on your clothes. And that is a way for them to tell you that they own you, that that you're their territory. And so when that happens, congratulations, your cat loves you. And so this is why it's a world of difference when you look at how a dog or a cat loves you, because they express their love very differently. When it comes to interaction with strangers, with kids and other pets, I can say that dogs tend to get more possessive of their owners, in the sense that dogs, being very loyal to their owners, so they would find the need to protect their owners at all time. And so this is why it might be difficult for some dog owners to actually have guests sometimes, because the dogs would bark. But in a very strange way, that is really just a dog trying to protect their owner. And so when it comes to that, there's a level of possessiveness that you get to see with dogs, and not necessarily with cats. And so this is why with cats, I feel that the possessiveness of cats is not really to the owner, but it's actually to the place. And that many people find that strange. So cats are very territorial. So they would need to actually be familiar with the place. And with that territory, everything in that territory must be familiar with them. And in a way, you are part of that territory. And so therefore, cats seem to love a place or own a place holistically. But when it comes to dogs don't really need to do that. Dogs get more attached to people. rather than a territory. And so what is interesting is that when you have a dog, so the dog gets very close to you, but not so much the place, but for cats, the place matters a lot. In fact, for cats, when you change something in the house or introduce a new element in the house, they actually get upset. And so this is why, when it comes to strangers, cats can also be aloof or not really go with strangers. But from my experience, it depends. Sometimes cats can actually welcome strangers as long as you don't violate or like enter their territory. So that's actually okay with cats. But for dogs, I think as long as you don't harm the owner or like you're not a threat, sometimes dogs can actually be nice to strangers also. Okay, how about kids? When it comes to kids, I feel that dogs are probably safer, particularly the small dog breeds. I think they're safer for kids. Obviously, larger dogs might be frightening actually for small kids, so that's not advisable. But for cats, generally speaking, as long as the kid that you have in the house is not really like a baby or toddler, I think cats are safe for young kids because cats are very much gentle. My only warning is probably do not make the kid become too fond of the cat. So in Filipino, we call it gigil. So if the kid does not make giggle on hindi siya manggigil sa cat, I think the kid will be fine. So I think, in my personal opinion, cats are actually very good with kids, mostly because of that. And finally, how about with other pets in the house? When it comes to dogs, believe it or not, many dogs are afraid of cats. Mostly because dogs generally would want to actually come close to the cats, and cats hiss. Cats, hate the presence of dogs, and so therefore, I feel that cats usually feel very much threatened with the presence of a dog. And when it comes to dogs, sometimes dogs would bark and also become angry, but more often than not, they usually retreat. So it's sometimes cats will usually win the war between cat and dog because the dog usually will surrender and hide and not really fight a cat head on. Allergy is one of the major reasons why people don't want pets in their house. And so for this part, I'm going to I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I'm going to just relate to you some information I know about allergies that you can get from dogs or cats. So when it comes to dogs, from what I know, short-haired dogs, actually you get more chance of having allergies with them as opposed to long-haired dogs. And why is that? Short-haired dogs shed hair more often than the long-haired ones. Because for short-haired dogs, in order for them to maintain their short fur or hair, they have to shed those. So this is the reason why if you're living with someone who has allergies, actually it's so much more safer to get dogs with longer hair. Because dogs with longer hair, their hair will just get longer and longer and longer and not really shed that much, unless of course their hair will get tangled with something and got cut accidentally. But more often than not, long-haired dogs tend to be more hypoallergenic than short-haired dogs. So therefore, if you're thinking of allergies, etc., I think long-haired dogs are good. It's a good choice actually for people with allergies. Now let's talk about cats. I would say that allergies for cats are probably a bit more intense than allergies for dogs. When it comes to cats' allergies, usually it's because of 3 reasons. And those 3 reasons are, number 1, It's the dead skin, the dander on their body that could affect actually other people. And so this is the reason why, while cats groom themselves a lot, all the time, I still recommend to some people that if you can bathe your cats maybe once every 2 months or 3 months, that actually is okay. Because some people are, in the team of don't bathe your cats at all. I'm actually more on the side of it's okay to bathe cats every now and then because of that. They might have some body parts that they cannot actually groom, and when that happens, dander or dried skin might happen, and so it might not be good. The other two causes of allergies that you might get from cats are because of their urine and because of their saliva. And so this is why for some people it could get worse because of those two things. So the safe thing to do would be just maybe check if you're allergic to those. I actually know some people who thought they were allergic to cats, but after visiting my house and being exposed to my cats, suddenly they're not allergic. So it's weird, but actually, yeah. So I think being exposed to cats and knowing for yourself that you're allergic or not would be very helpful. But I have to say something about some people are allergic to street cats, but not necessarily with home cats. I find that strange, but it's true actually for some people. So maybe exposure to either will help. Okay, and finally we come to the last consideration, difference between dog and cats. And it's all about quality of life that you will share with them. So in terms of lifespan, dogs on the average, can live for about 10 to 15 years. And cats generally live longer. So that might be something to consider. They say that for cats, the average span of years could reach 15 to 20 years. So that's actually much longer than the life of dogs. But when you think about your final consideration when it comes to owning a dog or a cat, it's really the life that you have and the quality of life that you want to share with the household pet. And so it boils down to this. When it comes to dogs, you are going to expect a companion that is very much loyal to you. If you have a small dog, that dog is going to be your baby for a long time. If you're going to get a bigger dog, that dog is going to be your protector at all times. So when it comes to dogs, they can be very energetic, and you might actually lose patience with them. But if that's something that you want you want a constant presence in your life where you are loved unconditionally, and at the same time you just want to have like a best friend, definitely get a dog. For me, dogs are very sweet, and so therefore that's something that you might consider if you want that kind of pet. But to those of you who would want cats, it's also a good thing because cats are more independent. While they're young, cats can be like dogs, very energetic, hyper, and then they play with you a lot, they run around the house, etc. But as they become more mature, much older, sometimes the way I describe it is that cats are like either your awkward friends or a very mature teacher or something like that. Because some cats are really just shy and they would just rather do their own thing. It's like ultimate introverts who would just sulk and go to the corner and sleep and just mind their own business. That's definitely an adult cat. But sometimes the adult cat can be like a very mature, teacher, like what I said. It's like they would constantly watch you and then judge you for everything that you do. And they're actually very wise in the sense that, they're just that, a constant presence. So if you're the type of person who would rather have a very calm companion and would not want someone who's too hyper, and yet you feel like the cats are still very loving of you, because cats will just go to you if they love you, and it's not like dogs who are there all the time and just going to scream that they love you all the time. Cats are more subdued. Cats will just go from time to time to remind you that they love you. And so if you're if you're more for that kind of relationship with the household pet, then cat is for you. So at the end of it all, it's all about your choice. And to me, either a dog or a cat is actually pretty good. And so this is why sometimes I tell people, you can try both. You can actually try to have a cat or a dog together. And to be honest, sometimes it really just works. So like for example, if you have one cat and one dog, from what I hear from people and from my own experience actually with multiple dogs and multiple cats, they can actually even become best friends. Because having a dog and one cat, they have no choice but actually to just be together. And so they would play with each other. Sometimes they would fight, but generally speaking, one cat and one dog will actually be fine together. It's a different story if you have multiple dogs and multiple cats, because when it comes to that, I have to be honest, multiple dogs can be stressful, mostly because you have to clean a lot of things because of the high energy level. And this is the reason why I don't really recommend multiple dogs if you're the type of person who hates cleaning your house, or like having too much high energy in your place. So this is why if you would have multiple household pets and one type of pet, so one dog and multiple cats, very doable. Because multiple cats, to be honest, especially when they're adults, so much more doable, I think, than having multiple dogs together. Okay? So I hope this video has helped you decide on whether you want to get a cat or a dog. But like what I said, towards the end of it all, it depends on you. It depends on the kind of life you want to live. But generally speaking, cats and dogs can give you happiness and can love you in very different ways that humans can't. And so this is why having a cat or a dog is very good for everyone. So again, this is SirNicolay, and thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Subscribe, because I'm still on a streak of making videos. So I hope that you will subscribe and then hit the bell for notifications, because I am going to upload a lot of videos in the next few days. Okay, so thank you and see you soon.